Morning. Well, I've already done this video once before, and what I didn't do was I didn't give any ingredients or measurements for the ingredients. So I'm going to do the video again, as we all have time. And a friend of mine, Nick, who lives in Spain, he asked me how I made it, and I sent him a link to the old video. And I thought, well, I have got time. We've all got time, so I'm going to remake the video again. So this is how to make my mum's soda bread, but this time I'm going to give measurements. Right, I'm just spinning the camera around. So this is the ingredients, the things you're going to need. That's clearly not an ingredient, it's a scale. It's weighing scales, household one. 1 pound loaf tin. I've got two. I always make two at the same time, but I'm going to just show you how to make one. Just work out the rest for yourself. Plain flour, 200 grams. Brown flour, 200 grams. I'll try and update you with the measurements as we go along. Baking soda, 1 teaspoon. Salt, 1 teaspoon. Mixed nuts from Lidl's. Other department stores or other stores are available, but that has got 200 grams in it. Let's just see. There you go. So what I do is I use half of the nuts if I'm going to do 2 loaves, which I am going to. So there's going to be 100 in each loaf, right? So 200, teaspoon, 100. If you happen to live in the UK, I go to Sainsbury's occasionally. Occasionally we go to Tesco's, but there isn't enough buttermilk in this pot. And which is in the pot? There's 300 milliliters. So it's a little bit more than 300 milliliters because I know there isn't enough buttermilk in the pot. For 1 loaf. So you use a normal fresh milk from the fridge, just to kind of make it so it works out. Anyway, we'll do that. I'll mention that later on in the video. And I use a scoop of this butter for the mix and also for lining the tin. So I'll grease the tin, put some flour in there, and sort that out. I'll show you that in a minute. I also put 1 egg, so there's 2 eggs there. So 1 egg goes into each mix. Probably not the best place in the world to put your eggs. So, right, that's what you need. Hopefully, you've been paying attention. 200, teaspoon, 100, one of them, scoop of that. Right? That makes sense? Right, press pause. Oh, yeah. Big bowl, and then set your oven, preheat your oven to 180. That's 180. That's it. Right, I'm going to crack on. So press pause. Okay, so these are my 2 1 pound loaf tins. This one has just been greased with some butter with my stork, and this one has been greased like this one. This one has been greased, and I've put the plain flour in around the tin. It's just to stop the loaf sticking when it's cooking, and when you turn it out, it just pops out of there. It may sound blatantly obvious, but always wash your hands before you cook. And I've washed my hands before I started doing all of this, and I've just washed my hands again because you can see I am butter free on both hands. And by the way, I'm doing this with my phone, so hopefully it's all working out nicely. So what have I got to do next? I've got to put the flour in this one. You don't need to see me doing that. I'm basically just going to shake a bit in there, and then basically shake it all the way in and around the tin, and then put them on the side and start putting stuff in that bowl. Right, let's do that. So I have put, just zoom down there, 200 grams of plain white flour, not self-raising, into the weighing scales bowl. It's probably not the best idea in the world, but I'm going to try and do it single-handedly. And I'm going to shake 4 I'm going to shake the brown flour. Right, and now there is 400 grams. So there's 200 white, 200 brown. That equals 400. Get me nuts. For sake of faffing about, I just stuck them in there quickly. Right, they're in there as well. I'm going to press pause, 1 minute. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Gone in. Gone, look, it's gone. As if by magic, 1 teaspoon of salt. Gone in. Right, now I'm going to transfer over to here. Your bowl should be clean. My bowl, on the other hand, has just made one of them. So that's what we're going to end up with. Right, pressing pause. So that's all my dry goods. Sound like I know what I'm talking about? Don't. Next thing I'm going to do, I did this a minute ago, single-handedly, and it worked out all right. Unfortunately, I wasn't videoing myself. So there you go. So there's a scoop of butter on a dessert spoon. Doesn't have to be a huge amount, and it doesn't have to be exact. So, plop, in it goes. That can go over there. Right, let's get rid of him for a minute. So there's nuts, flour, brown flour, white flour, nuts, baking soda, salt, butter in there. The only 2 things left to go in are these 2, okay? I have some fresh milk on the side because, as I've said in the past, there isn't enough buttermilk to be able to make it nice and, you can see on a little light. It's not gooey, it's not runny. Yeah? Okay. Right, I digress. So, I will press pause in a minute, but you just basically need to kind of get your 2 hands in there. Clearly, I'm holding a camera, talking and trying to do it. But I like the nuts in the mix early, or when I did it in, as I explained. It helps to distribute the butter. Then the nuts kind of take charge of the butter, but you don't want lumps and chunks of butter. The only thing that you have lumpy or chunky in there is the nuts. Okay, I'm pressing pause and I'm going to put the egg in. I'm going to get me both hands in there, give it a bit of a working, and I will put the egg in and the buttermilk, and use my spatula to give it get it all together. So there you go. So I've just got all the flour and mixed together, and I've just cracked the egg in. Right, next, buttermilk. So all of the buttermilk, all 300 milliliters. I reckon you need about another 50 ml but there isn't enough in there. So I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh milk. Right, need to press pause, I need 2 hands. Okay, so I would say that is too dry, yeah? It's definitely too dry. You saw how much, I haven't added any more liquid, so I'm just going to add a little bit more milk. You don't want it too sloppy, and you don't want it too dry. Unfortunately, there is no instruction I can give you other than that. So all I can do is mix it all together and then show you the result. One moment. Right, so what I've got now is a glamorous assistant. I've got both hands. So I'm trying to explain basically how the mix should be in your bowl. So you don't want it too wet, you don't want it too dry, you want it just right. Bit of a Cinderella moment. Cinderella? Right, try and see if you can catch it coming out of the bowl. You don't have to make noises. Right, there you go. So it should be kind of that kind of consistency, really. And only practice makes perfect. My mum makes it. The gorgeous girl who's holding the camera, she also makes it. And, right, preheated oven. Let's put them in. Got a glamorous assistant. One got in there. Two got in there. In the oven. For an hour. Marvellous. It's been an hour. Clean tea towels. Clean. Can't emphasise that enough. Ooh. Oh my God. I can see it, you can. There's one. There's two. Oven off. Right. Get it turning out a bit. We'll do that one as my wife's videoing this. Right. Cover it over. Turn upside down. You remember I said I put lots of butter and lots of flour on earlier? That's why. It knocks out really easy, and then give them a little bit of a wrap up like that in the towel. And they're bloody hot. Wrap you up in the towel. Thank you very much. Someone asked me a long time ago why do I wrap them in a tea towel and put them on a cooling tray. I think it's something to do with the crust. After that, I don't know. And that's it, and that's how you make homemade brown bread.